Hello, my name is Tami Karol, and I'm the owner of the Tami Karol Insurance Agency. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on homeowners insurance. We offer an array of products for you, available to you, including auto, boats, toys, RVs, business insurance. But today, our focus is going to be on homeowners insurance. So, what is homeowners insurance? Homeowners insurance is basically the policy that's going to cover your most valuable asset, which is your home. How do we determine how we're going to value that? Well, there's a lot that goes into that. What we basically do is we take the features of your home, such as the year it was built, the construction type, what kind of roof you have, the square footage, where it's located, and we input that information into what's called a replacement cost estimator. And that is how we determine the value of your home. And from there, we add on additional coverages that you may or may not want to have. But homeowners insurance is a very valuable protection, and it's important that you get involved in the process and that you know exactly what you're buying. So let's talk about the different parts of a homeowner's policy. We have the first main part, which is your dwelling. That's the actual structure of the home itself. That is your four walls, your roof, everything that's physically attached to the home. And as I previously stated, this is where we determine it through our replacement cost estimator. That is going to be the value of your home, and that is going to be your dwelling value. Then you have a coverage called other structures. Other structures is anything that is detached from your home. That can be a shed, a fence, detached mother-in-law's quarters. So that is going to be a small percentage of the dwelling amount. So should you have those items and that coverage listed is not enough, it's important that we're aware of that so that we can increase that coverage for you so that those items are properly covered. Then we go into what's commonly referred to as personal property or contents. That's everything that's physically inside the home. So think of taking the house, turning it upside down, shaking it out, and everything that falls out. That's your contents. Your clothing, your furnishings, your dishes, your silverware, your TVs, everything that's within the home that you could physically pick up and walk out the door with is considered your contents or your personal property. Then you have loss of use. Loss of use goes toward travel and lodging if you have to stay somewhere else because your home has been damaged by a covered peril and it is inhabitable. This could be a couple of days, this could be a couple of weeks, it could even be a couple of months should you have had something catastrophic like a fire or a hurricane severely damage your home and make it inhabitable. This would go towards your travel and lodging. And lastly, we have what's referred to as medical payments and liability. And that protects you if someone who is a non-resident gets hurt on your property. So for instance, someone slips and falls, you get served with a lawsuit from a lawyer saying someone slipped on your property. This all goes into your liability and it is covered by your insurance company. So we do need to be aware of those letters so that we can help you and defend you against those claims. So those are the parts of the homeowner's policy itself. Now let's talk about the application process because this is really important. We need to know everything about the home, about who's going to occupy it, and about what's going to be in it. And that is to protect you. For instance, we told you how the replacement cost estimator is going to work. That's how we're going to determine the value of your home, okay? We also need to know who's going to live in the house. Is it going to be owner occupied by you and your family, or are you going to rent it out? Because if you are going to rent it out, it's a different policy. So we want to make sure that we're fully aware of what kind of policy you need so that we can make sure we properly protect you. So occupancy of how the home is going to be occupied is very important. Also, we need to know about hazards at the home, outdoor hazards. Does the home have a pool? If it does, the pool has to be protected by a at least 4 foot or higher locked gate. It has to have a latch on it, a fence. A baby gate is not acceptable because those come up and down. So we have to either have a 4 foot or more self-latching gate or a screen enclosure to properly protect that pool from anybody falling into it, wandering onto your property, anything of that nature. Also, if there's a diving board or a slide on the pool, those are things we need to know about because every carrier will not accept those. Also, trampolines on your property. Those are a hot topic. If you have a trampoline on your property, some carriers are okay with trampolines. Some absolutely will not cover them. So if you're going to plan to put a trampoline in your backyard, that is something, again, that we need to know about because it is an additional liability hazard. One of the real hot topics is animals, dogs. There are certain breeds of dogs that there are certain carriers that they will not accept. So we need you to be forthcoming with us on what kind of dog you have, and we're going to ask you that. because animal liability is excluded on most homeowners insurance policies nowadays. Some will still cover it, but most are excluding it. But even though it's excluded, there are some breeds of dogs that are absolutely unacceptable on homeowners carriers. So please let us know what kind of dog you have so that we can make sure we place you with the right carrier. And we also can offer you a canine liability policy aside from your homeowner's policy if you do have a dog that you're worried about and if that dog bites somebody so that you're properly protected. So be sure to ask us about that if you do have a dog that you feel you might want to protect yourself from liability exposure. So those are some of the important hazards. Now, how about inspections? We often are asked about inspections. If the home is over a certain age, there are certain inspections that the carrier will require you to get. They're called a 4-point inspection, and that covers the 4 points, which is your heating and air conditioning, your roof, your electrical, and your plumbing. Those are the 4 points. It's not a home inspection, it's just a 4-point inspection for insurance purposes. It will basically tell us how old those systems are and what the life expectancy left on them is. So it's important that if you are required to have one of those, that we see that up front ahead of time. So again, we can properly place you with the right carrier. Now, what about discounts? Yes, there's lots of discounts on homeowners insurance. One of them is an alarm, but the alarm must be monitored. So it must report to a central station monitoring system. So if you do have an alarm, please let us know about it. But we are going to need a certificate showing that that alarm is monitored in order to give you the discount. Wind mitigation is another huge discount that we always recommend that you get. That will give you discounts on the actual roof on how it's actually attached. Strappings, clips, if it's FBC equivalent, what the age of the roof is, that's a very important report. It is an optional report, but it will give you discounts. So make sure that you always get a wind mitigation report as well. That's very important. Deductibles. So there's different deductible options on a homeowner's policy. You have 2 different deductibles. One is referred to as your AOP, which is also known as your all other perils deductible, and the other one is your hurricane deductible. Your AOP, all other perils deductible, is everything aside from hurricane. It's every other covered claim that you have, which is going to be your fire, lightning, water damage, theft, vandalism, and liability. Those are all going to go under your AOP deductible. Your hurricane deductible is going to be specifically for that. Hurricane. 2% is the normal hurricane deductible, and that's going to be 2% of your dwelling amount. So for instance, if we've insured your dwelling for $200,000, you're going to have a $4,000 hurricane deductible. Hurricane deductible comes into play when it is a named storm anywhere in the state of Florida. Your hurricane deductible is going to apply. So it's important that if that $4,000 deductible is too high for your out-of-pocket expenses, that you speak to us about reducing that hurricane deductible. When you reduce any deductible, your AOP or your hurricane, you will increase your premium. So the lower the deductible, the higher your insurance premium is going to be. So that's something that you need to think about too to make sure what works properly for your budget. So we have another hot topic is your contents. Replacement cost versus actual cash value. 2 different options when it comes to your contents. So replacement cost means that we will replace your items of like and similar value at today's cost. You will pay additional premium to have replacement cost on your contents. Actual cash value means that you will get actual cash value for your items minus the depreciation. So let's put that in layman's terms. You have a living room set that's 10 years old, and you have a couch, a love seat, a coffee table, and 2 end tables, and you bought it 10 years ago. If you have actual cash value on your policy, you're going to get what a 10-year-old living room set is worth at this time minus the depreciation. If you have replacement costs, then we're going to replace your living room set with a like and similar value couch, love seat, coffee table, and 2 end tables like you had at whatever the cost is to replace that today of like and similar value. But again, you do pay an additional cost to have that replacement cost on your contents. So that has to be what's important to you. There are also certain parts of your insurance, certain items and categories that can be limited. So it's important that we know if you're a collector of anything. For instance, jewelry is limited to $1,000 on most insurance policies. So if you have $5,000 or $10,000 worth of jewelry within your home and you have a theft, you're only going to get $1,000 back minus your deductible from the insurance company. So it's important that if you have a lot of jewelry, that we either raise your jewelry limit or we schedule those items for you. The same goes for things like guns, fine arts, electronics, heavy computer equipment, things of that nature. So if you do have a lot of that, it's important that you let us know so that we can properly protect you from that. We also have certain limitations on water, mold, and fungi if the home is over a certain age. So again, make sure that you are fully aware of those limitations. Older homes sometimes are eligible to buy more coverage. Sometimes the limit is the limit and you cannot buy additional coverage in that. So it's important that you look at those coverages and that you speak to us about that so that if you do want an increased limit, we can make sure we increase that for you or place you with a carrier that will give you additional coverage. So we talked about what's covered in homeowners insurance and what it's all about. Let's talk about what's not covered, okay? One of the major things is flood. Flood insurance is never part of your homeowner's insurance. Your flood is going to be your rising water from the outside in. So let's think about this. When it rains so hard that the water level rises, but we don't have the wind like from a hurricane to drive it into our home, that's going to be considered flooding. And you can get seepage through cracks in the foundation, through your sliders, through your windows. They can come in through that, and that's going to be flood, and that is not part of your homeowner's policy. You can always purchase a separate flood policy, and it is minimal. It's a few $100s a year. Even if you're not in what's referred to as a required flood zone, it does not mean that you will not have a flood. It just means that you're less likely to have a flood as someone that's in a required flood zone here in Florida. But we do get a lot of rain, so it is an important coverage, a valuable coverage to consider. So it is not part of your homeowner's insurance. Things in your garage. Just because they're in your garage does not mean they're covered. Things like your cars, your motorcycles, your boats, your trailers, your work equipment, jet skis, an RV, anything like that is not covered under the homeowner's policy, even if it's in your driveway or inside your garage. Those always need separate policies. Autos need automobile insurance, boats need boat insurance, motorcycles need motorcycle insurance, and so forth. So don't assume that those items, because they're in your garage, should you have a fire, that they would be covered. They will not be covered under your homeowner's insurance. So it's very important that you realize that. And again, those are items that we can help you with, should you have them, that we can place them with other policies. Also, business property. Business property is not part of the homeowner's insurance policy. So if you have, let's say for instance, you're a landscaper and you have a trailer full of equipment, lawnmowers, edgers, weed eaters, all of that, and you have a fire in your house and everything is gone, that is not going to be covered under your homeowner's insurance because that is a business property and that needs to be covered under your business policy. Now, if you have those items personally, obviously as a homeowner, you can have a lawnmower and lawn equipment to mow your own grass. That of course would be covered. But if it's your business property, it is not going to be covered under your homeowner's insurance. So it's very important that you understand that and that you do insure those items under your business policy. And again, we can help you with that if you need assistance. Also, homeowner's insurance is not a maintenance policy. It's very important that you understand that. If your air conditioning breaks just because it's 10 years old, the insurance is not going to pay for that. If your air conditioning is struck by lightning, which is a covered peril on your homeowner's policy, that would be an insurance claim and that would be covered. But just because it breaks down because it's older or lack of maintenance, that is not going to be covered on a homeowner's insurance policy. So it's important that you realize that homeowner's insurance is not a maintenance policy. It is not going to cover neglect or lack of maintenance or just things getting old. Even your roof, if your roof is just old and starts to leak, that is not part of your homeowner's insurance policy. That is a maintenance issue. Your roof would have to be damaged by a cover peril, such as a tree fell on it, or a hurricane blew it off, or it struck by lightning, things like that are covered perils, not just because it's a 20-year-old roof and now it's starting to leak. So it's important that you understand those items. Another hot topic that we have is the claims process. What happens when something goes wrong? Okay, so very simple. Call us first. Call your agency and talk to us first, because the first and foremost, the damage that happens has to exceed your deductible before there will be any response from the insurance company. So for instance, if you have a theft at your home and they steal $500 worth of items and you have a $1,000 deductible, there's no coverage in place for the response from the insurance company because you have $1,000 deductible, you did not exceed that. So there's no reason to file that claim. So therefore, it's important that you contact us first when you have a claim so that we can assist you and guide you in what is covered and is not covered, so we can help you through that. Again, if you call us and tell us that your roof is leaking because it's a maintenance issue, we're going to let you know that that's not covered by your insurance company, so there's no reason to file a claim. Oftentimes people feel like as soon as something goes wrong that they have to go get a public adjuster or an attorney. You do not have to do that. You need to file the claim directly with the insurance company, and the insurance company will come out to you within 48 hours after filing the claim. They will assess the damage, they will write up a report, they will send you that report with what they feel the monetary value is based on your claim. And if you're dissatisfied with that, call us back, your agency here, and we will help you to find out why there's a lack in maybe what you feel you should have gotten versus what the insurance company is willing to give you. We may be able to close that gap for you. If we cannot and the insurance company is not willing to budge and you feel that this is not the correct amount that you should be getting, at that point in time, you can seek third-party counsel to find out. But always give the insurance company and your agent a chance to make it right first before you seek that outside counsel. Because if so, you do give a portion of your claims proceeds to either the attorney or the public adjuster. So we want to make sure we can try to settle it for you in-house first before it gets to that. So that's really important. Another thing I really want to address is the non-renewal process. We live in Florida, and unfortunately the Florida carriers are open one day and they close the next. And that's just what's happening. They call it reduction of exposure, reducing exposure, reducing their capacity in the area. If they get too overinsured in a specific zip code or area, they want to release some of that business to protect themselves. So it's nothing, it's not a reflection of you or your home, it's just random non-renewal. So those letters may come to you. Don't panic. We get that letter too, and we're already on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to find you another carrier, and we're going to send you out a comparable quote 45 days prior to that non-renewal taking effect, and then we're going to go ahead and get your acceptance on it and move you to another carrier. Unfortunately, it's happening a lot lately, so we don't want you to panic and think that you've done something wrong or there's something wrong with your home. Again, it's random non-renewal. But it's super important that you communicate with us. When we at your agency ask you for something, the carrier goes out and does an inspection, which the carrier will do. Every carrier will go out and do an inspection within 90 days of writing the policy. They don't normally come in your house. Some carriers will make an appointment to come in and look at certain things like your plumbing and your electrical boards and things like that. But the majority of them just want to do the outside of the home, take a photo of the front and back, make sure there isn't any outside hazards that we didn't report, like those trampolines and pool slides and things that we talked about, or any kind of damage to the home itself. And once they conclude that, they may come back to us with a memo that says, hey, we noticed that this was going on. There's a trampoline on the premises, on the premises, or there's some rotting fascia on the fascia boards. Things like that. All we need to do is we need you to respond to us, because normally there's time for you to fix it and not get that carrier to cancel you. But if you don't communicate with us and we can't get an answer back from you, we can't salvage the policy. So whenever you get a letter from us here at the agency asking you for something, it's so important that you communicate with us in a very timely fashion so that we can get that information to the carrier and get the issue, whatever it may be, resolved. And again, should you get a non-renewal, do not panic. Just contact us if you haven't heard from us yet, because we're getting that same non-renewal and we're already on top of it, getting ready to help you. So now we have given you a mini education on your homeowner's insurance, but there's so much more to know. Things are changing every day in this industry, and we want to be your partner in your homeowner's insurance, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. So please ask questions, call us, get involved in the process. There are no silly questions. The only silly questions are the ones you don't ask, and then you find out that you weren't covered for something that you thought you were. So we want to be your partner in this process. We can also help you with your other insurance as well. You can get discounts for bundling insurance together, so that's something we're also here to help you with. But most importantly, we just want you to really be involved in the homeowner's insurance process so that we give you the best policy we can to protect you and your home and everything that's in it. So again, I'm Tami Karol with the Tami Karol Insurance Agency, and we look forward to serving you.